The most confident video game console of all time, the massive 64-bit Atari Jaguar, was first released on November 23, 1993. It had a rocky start, but many came to realize that the Jaguar was capable of very intriguing games, full of fresh and different experiences, like Alien vs. Predator, Iron Soldier, and games like Tempest 2000. The problem was that most people saw how great the system was way too late. They took just too long for the great games to come out. And when 95 came, systems like Sega Saturn and Sony PlayStation arrived, thus ending Jaguar's short reign as the most powerful and badass console on the market. Because of this, lots of good Jaguar games became overlooked and only discovered by most long after the Jaguar's run. Ultra VORTEK is one of those games. It's easily the best fighting game on the console, and contains the best cast of fighters that are actually cool. The best way I can describe the game is a creepy, disturbing nightmare that you actually enjoyed, but you tried to remember later, but forgot because it was a dream. So if it's such a great game, then why wasn't it a financial success? The problem comes from the fact that they heavily marketed the game Kasumi Ninja instead of Ultra VORTEK. Kasumi Ninja also came out first, which was not a wise idea. Since most didn't like Kasumi Ninja, people were not willing to experiment with another Jaguar fighter. Kasumi Ninja was released on December 24th, 1994, and Ultra VORTEK was released on September 5th, 1995. Another problem is that Ultra VORTEK is easily the most satanic video game ever created, and I'm a born-again Christian, but I still love the game. It has a strong, gritty, and mysterious flair to it. It's a game that captures your imagination. Since the Jaguar was selling so badly, maybe their idea was to scare the shit out of you into trying the game out. Something to grab your attention. Like, if you're man enough and bold enough, you can handle this Satan nightmare of a game. The most powerful console ever, with the most intense and intimidating game ever. Something truly only the coolest and most underground weirdos would love Ultra VORTEK. But I think the game was just too satanic to properly market the game. It's much darker than Mortal Kombat, so I think it has really good gameplay. It's not stiff and kinda annoying like Kasumi Ninja. The controls are much better, and it's much easier to pull off special moves. The graphics are strange and intense, which I find very appealing. If you're deep into the occult, like me, then you'll feel right at home. The imagery, the blatant Satanism, each level feels like you're in hell, no doubt. Or at least a form of hell. The more you study the occult world of witchcraft and devil worship, you can tell the environments of Ultra VORTEK were heavily inspired from those things. The game makes you feel slightly uneasy, and actually makes you feel really guilty for liking the game. It's an odd feeling, especially as a devout Christian. Although getting into occult stuff is extremely dangerous, as long as you just view Ultra VORTEK as entertainment only, then I feel you'll spiritually be okay. But this game invites the danger, and encourages you to enjoy the demonic dungeons and Lucifer-like temples the game has. The one eye of the Illuminati is gigantic, and right there on the title screen as the game begins. A demon holds the fighters on the character select screen, and the Illuminati eyeball is right there watching your every move during each of the fights, which is actually part of the plot of the game. This is a treasure trove of a game, and is super underrated. Even the manual is super detailed and fun to explore, so let me read it to you.
The human being has always been a violent creature. The history of mankind is fraught with warrior societies. The ancient city-states of Greece, the gladiators of the Roman Colosseum, the ravaging clans of the Mongols, the warrior priests of the Aztecs. Every one of these societies conquered vast regions of the known world and established mighty empires that dominated for decades, sometimes centuries. Not one of these empires exists today. In the past, it was believed that new weapons, new governments, or some cruel twist of fate led them to defeat and obscurity. Halfway through the 21st century, an archaeological team unearthed a tablet while digging in an ancient Incan temple in South America. Ancient text was stamped with some strange symbol whose meaning was lost to time. The tablet referred to a being, perhaps a god or demon, known only as the Guardian. It told how the Guardian appeared to the people of the land and told them of the time of testing. Your actions and learning have shown that your society is ready to be tested. If your mastery of the powers of mankind is complete, you will surely be worthy to possess the full powers of the Ultra VORTEK. Should you be found wanting, if your finest warriors cannot defeat me, your penalty will be the death of your empire. The life force of your nation will be returned to the Ultra VORTEK, the wellspring from which mankind draws its eternal energy. Someday, one of the races that takes your place will learn to control the Ultra VORTEK, and will prove itself worthy of its destiny by defeating me. The final words of the Guardian were unreadable. The tablet had been broken and damaged at some point. The only remaining words the scientists could decipher made reference to the return of the Guardian for the final test of mankind. The scholars had no idea when this predicted event would take place. The VORTEK tablet provided a link of understanding what the disappearance of the Incans and other warrior societies lost in the sagas of time. The strange triangular symbol stamped at the top of the tablet was similar to symbols found in other ancient sites. Many civilizations that never had contact with another knew of this symbol. Its existence on ancient temples and arenas throughout the world had been an unsolvable mystery to modern-day scientists until now. Somehow this Guardian of the Ultra VORTEK had tested these societies, found them lacking, and destroyed them. The tablet introduced more questions than it answered. Who was the Guardian? Where did it go? And more importantly, when would it return? Well, this is part one of the story, and this is my little commentary. One painfully obvious thing is that the strange triangular symbol stamped on the top of the tablet, as it mentions, that's obvious that's the Illuminati triangle or pyramid, right? The Ultra VORTEK, the VORTEK tablet, or whatever, it's basically Satan. Pretty much. Anyway, let's move on. Earth's decline. The quality of life on planet Earth took a decided turn for the worse during the 100-year span after the discovery of the VORTEK tablet. Crime was everywhere. The government corruption was at an all-time high. Life for the average urban dweller was hard in the extreme. Basic human rights were lost or denied. Although life looked bleak for many of Earth's inhabitants, the same 100 years did provide some miracles. Advances in medical and microtechnologies led to the evolution of two new human species. The first, the most easily identifiable, one of the races was the robot, synthetic, humanoid automations developed to provide cheap and efficient manual labor for the service and industrial manufacturing industries. For 50 years the robots plodded along, performing their mental tasks while functioning under the dim glow of a limited artificial intelligence. Shortly thereafter, a defense industries contractor developed a new biochip that became the standard brain in the new classes of working bot. This biochip was hailed as a revolutionary piece of hardware by robotic manufacturers. It had the ability to reason and grow, making new robots more effective at their jobs. The biochip functioned so well that it produced one foreseen side effect in its subjects. They became self-aware. The chip had the capacity to instill emotions and other non-logical thoughts and actions in robots in which it was installed. Once they became self-aware and self-actualized, the robots realized they had been mistreated for the last 50 years or so. They formed groups and began to petition the government for equal rights and status within society. The second new race to walk the earth became from a questionable background, known loosely and collectively as squeeb units, specifically qualified unique engineered eugenic bio-units. These new creations possessed the ability to alter their molecular structures into other shapes and forms. The military-industrial complex Ltd. originally designed squeeb units to take the place of normal human beings on the battlefield. These super soldiers were engineered and mutated to survive the hostile environments of modern chemonuclear warfare better than their human counterparts. Many squeebs found ways to escape their military bondage. After the world conflict of 2112, they eventually banded together to form one of the top 3 underground gangs. Because of their shape-shifting abilities, the quote-unquote human race keeps them at a distance. In many cities, open hostility between humans and squeebs is the rule rather than the exception. Conflicts between squeebs and bots also exist as most groups contend for the rights and status of normal humanity. Needless to say, the evolution of these two races generated further decline in the already turbulent urban situation. Societies became even more violent and barbaric. Special government police squads had to be formed to keep the population in line. Most people acquiesced to the crackdowns, but some went underground, laying the foundations that would become the gangs of the underground. Then the Guardian appeared. Alright, so that was chapter 2. So here's some of my commentary. Well, the whole chip thing that the robots have, that's kind of like the chip the Illuminati wants to plant in our human bodies, right? And here we have the future, where it's the post-apocalyptic future that lots of books, 1984 and all that stuff. Very Illuminati, very Book of Revelation stuff going on. The whole idea of the robots realizing they've been swindled and used only for labor. AI. Yes, this is like the plot of that Will Smith movie, I, Robot. And also, Atari made the game I, Robot, the 80s arcade game, which also featured the one seeing eye of the Illuminati as the villain of the game. Just like how the one eye of the Illuminati appears in between the fighters of the levels of Ultra VORTEK. So clearly, the Atari Corporation knew about the Illuminati, and here they are exposing them. Interesting how they mention that what happened was a world conflict in the year 2112. How could you not think of the Rush album 2112? Does that mean that the Rush album 2112 is also part of the timeline and the story of Ultra VORTEK? The fact that there was a new race called the Queeb units blending together with the human beings is very creepy and is probably real, that every other person you see in the city or wherever you live is not a true human being and they're like half reptilian or some shit. Very creepy and interesting. Like this game is telling you the secrets that actually exist in real life. It's not all fantasy. Mercury is victorious.